and pre-submitted by community members. Zoom attendees can submit questions in real time using the question and answer function on your screen. Agency representatives are on the Zoom meeting and responding live. Note that questions submitted to the YouTube live chat will not. If you are interested in submitting a question during this meeting, please join us via Zoom using the QR code on your screen. And now I'll turn it over to Supervisor Barger.
.gov. Thank you again for being here and giving us an opportunity to share information with you. Let's get started.
Thank you, Supervisor. And our first presentation is from the Army Corps, Colonel Amchuk.
Good afternoon.
Just before we begin, it seems that we're having some technical difficulties with the audio on YouTube. We are working to correct that. We do encourage you to join us via Zoom. And we'll put up the slide now with the QR code for you to join us via Zoom. Colonel, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon. And I'm just going to give two brief updates. One on the debris removal program as a whole, and then secondly, about our operations at the Altadena Golf Course. So as of this morning, we had 123 debris removal crews and 92 asbestos abatement crews working in Altadena. In terms of progress so far, we use the term final sign-off. So rights of entry that have, where we've done the debris removal and then returned those rights of entry to the county. We have 885 that have gone through that entire process. But in terms of removal of the fire ash debris from the properties, we've completed almost 1,900 of those properties. Additional debris removal projects that we've completed, the debris removal at the reservoirs at Las Flores Water Company, Rubio Canyon, and Lincoln Reservoirs. And right now we are just awaiting the final inspection, which should be done today. In terms of where we are in the overall mission, our commitment continues to be that we are going to be complete January 2026. However, we do expect that for the great majority of property owners, we should be complete late summer, early fall. In terms of operations at the golf course itself, so last week we began operating the site. To date, we've been processing between 100 and 150 trucks worth of material daily. That's concrete, steel, and vegetative. We have implemented our best management practices and dust mitigation, as well as had active air monitoring stations throughout the site, as well as our website, which where you can see the air monitoring stations, the performance of those air monitoring stations. Based on what we've seen, we've been operating well within the project safe limits for PM 2.5 and PM 10. We've been around less than 5% of what those project safe limits are. So again, we see that our best management practices have been effective. Okay, that concludes my portion, and I will be here for the Q&A. Thanks.
Thank you, Colonel. Now transitioning over to public health.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to give a very quick update about the soil sampling initiative that the LA County Department of Public Health, along with support from the County Board of Supervisors, is conducting. As you know, and as we've reported previously, LA County is working with a consultant, an expert consultant, to do a 3-stage soil sampling strategy. We will be announcing the results of this soil sampling at what you're seeing on the screen right now at a town hall on Thursday evening. Let me say a little bit about what that soil sampling is. That soil sampling strategy is one that where we have done representative soil sampling, meaning we have sampled soil at various geographic locations in the Eaton fire area, as well as the Palisades fire area. And we focus sampling in stages 1 and 2 on properties or parcels, I should say, parcels that are either entirely damaged and destroyed, or those that are partially destroyed, and finally parcels that are not destroyed, both within the burn scar area and just outside the burn scar area. That's what constitutes stage 1 and stage 2 of soil sampling. We will be presenting the results of that soil sampling on Thursday at the town hall Thursday evening. That soil sampling, that stage 1 and stage 2 that we will present, is before phase 2 debris removal. So we will be looking at sampling from that stage. There eventually will be a stage 3 soil sampling that we will release, which will be after on parcels that were destroyed by the fire, but had completed phase 2 debris removal. We will be presenting the results again on Thursday at the town hall, and we will then be posting the results that we present at the town hall on our website, at the Department of Public Health website at publichealth.lacounty.gov. If you go to that website, to the wildfire site, you'll see a number of buttons there, and I would urge you to look at the post-fire assessment plan button, where it already includes air, soil, and water results from multiple different groups that have been performing these results, and they're there for you to see. We look forward to the Thursday evening virtual town hall. We will be having our expert consultant at the town hall to take everyone through the results of their sampling strategy, and most importantly, to take your questions and do our best to answer them and help you interpret what these results mean. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And our final presentation is from Jason Lowe with the South Coast Air Quality Management District.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, and our thoughts are all with you as you continue the rebuilding process. I will provide an update with regards to South Coast AQMD air monitoring efforts in and around the Eaton burn scar area. Next slide, please. South Coast AQMD began an expanded air monitoring effort to evaluate community-scale air monitoring in the impacted areas. As the second part of this expanded effort, stationary samplers were deployed at the end of February to evaluate the air for asbestos, air toxic metals, which include lead and arsenic. Also, measurements were deployed for continuous particulate matter, both the larger particles, which are indicative of dust, and smaller particles that can go deeper into the lungs, or PM2.5. This effort was in close collaboration with the California Air Resources Board and US EPA. Next slide, please. The air monitoring results are posted online to our data dashboard. The dashboard includes an interactive map which shows the air monitoring locations, and when clicked, will take the user to the data for the site. So for example, on the map here, there are 3 blue dots indicating the 3 fixed air monitoring stations that are in the Eaton burn scar area. So you would click on the blue dot and it'll have a pop-up that says link to data. When you click on that link to data, you'll see the data over on the right-hand side. And the interface then will include hourly particulate matter and also the results from the metals analysis, which is shown right here on this slide. For example, the results shown here are for lead, and the gray shaded region is the range of typical background values. And the colored data points show the levels of the metal for that date and that site. A table for asbestos results are shown and includes a link that will take the user to the actual lab reports. Next slide, please. To summarize some of the results that we've been seeing so far as part of the stationary air monitoring effort, generally, air toxic metals are within background levels. Selenium was above background on March 17th, but did not pose any health risk. Generally, asbestos is not detected. However, it was detected at 2 sites on March 5th, 2025, but has not been seen since. The continuous larger particles, or PM10, and the smaller particles, PM2.5, hourly data meet federal standards, and that's all the way current to today. And the results are gone over with our public health partners at LADPH and also our other partners with the Air Quality Subcommittee and the Debris Task Force. Next slide, please. For anyone who would like to stay current on the South Coast AQMD efforts regarding LA wildfires, our webpage is current with all the information, including the summary of activities, the monitoring data as described previously, press releases, and any advisories that are issued. Also, as Dr. Anish had mentioned, this website can also be linked to from the data assessment site on the LADPH website. That concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all of our presenters today. We will now transition to the question and answer portion of our evening. The following questions were submitted ahead of tonight's community meeting, and we will answer as many of them as we can in the allotted time. As a reminder, you can find answers to frequently asked questions on recovery.lacounty.gov/Altadena. Zoom participants can also submit questions in real time using the Q&A function found at the bottom of your screen. A reminder that questions asked in the YouTube live chat will not be answered. So for those of you who are on YouTube and would like to submit questions, we encourage you to join us via Zoom using the QR code on your screen. Our first question is for the Sheriff's Department. With limited security in the area, standing homes continue to be broken into. Vandals who were determined to get into my neighbor's home cut a hole in her iron gate. What is or can be done to gain control of this issue, both now and in the future when we begin to rebuild our homes?
Thank you very much for the question. That's extremely important to us here at Altadena and for the Sheriff's Department. I just want to, hopefully the person who wrote in the question, they've contacted the station and a report has been written. It's important that if there is a crime that occurs, that's documented so that we can have a deputy come out, document what happened, and have a record of it. But some of the things we've done, we've brought in a tremendous number of extra deputies. We still continue to do that. And we started the home check program. The extra deputies are going out there, they're checking homes. We have approximately 600 homes in the home check program, and we've done over 12,000 checks of the different residents in Altadena that are assigned to the home check. We've continued to do high visibility roving patrols, so we're sending deputies out back and forth to the city to look for different things, suspicious activity. But right now we're evolving more into conducting saturation patrols and crime fighting activities. We're bringing in undercover deputies, some detectives that specialize in undercover work. So some of the people that we're keeping eyes on different things that we've had high activities on in terms of crime. Some of the things we need, though, is we need a lot more community involvement. We're going to be having a town hall on April 30th at the Altadena Community Center. And with the town hall, we've asked our neighborhood watch partners to join us. And we can talk more about how you can participate as residents in the neighborhood to help us out. It may sound a little cliche, but if you see something, say something, call us. If you see suspicious activity around a home, call 911, or you can call the business line at 626-798-1131. Sometimes we do get reports of crimes that happen, even though people saw them occurring at the moment, but we got called, maybe at the end of the day or the next day or 2 days later, and it makes it tough for us to go back and catch the people in the act if there was a crime that was occurring. So we'd also ask you speak with your neighbors. If there's neighbors around your house, let them know if you have work coming in. If you do have work crews, let us know. We have responded to some houses where neighbors didn't know that their neighbors were home and they thought there was a burglar, and that's okay. We tried our best to treat everybody well, but those are some things that have been happening. We've been working on. You can also have your, if you have a Ring camera, set it up on a motion sensor so you get notifications on your phone. So if there is some kind of movement in front of your house, it notifies you. Then you can see what's happening in real time and give us a call if there's somebody not there. And don't be afraid to set up cameras inside your house if you're not going to be there. And if there is some kind of motion sensor that goes off and you get it on your phone, please call 911 and let us know and we'll respond accordingly. I do apologize that something like that happened at your house or your neighbor's house, but please call us and let us know anytime you see any suspicious activity.
Thank you very much. And our next question is for public health. Will LA County inform us when it is safe to remediate smoke and ash contaminated homes? We need some guidance we can pass on to our insurance providers.
Yeah, thanks so much for the question. We have a lot of guidance on our website at publichealth.lacounty.gov/wildfire, where you can find there under the FAQs, there's a big heading that says how to clean up. And under that, it goes through a set of instructions about if it's not a lot of ash and soot, and it's a very minor amount, it provides instructions and guidance on how to clean up safely. But if you have significant ash and soot, then you're probably going to need professional cleaning. And the first step is to work with your insurance company and really ask them, especially if you're filing a claim, to see if they have recommended firms that they would like you to work with. If you end up seeking professional contractors yourself, then you want to make sure that they're properly licensed with the state or the county and they have the required bonded and liability insurance. You'll also want to check references for anyone you may use, including with the Better Business Bureau, and also determine whether they have the proper certifications. There are various certifying bodies. You'll find more information on our website about this, including the Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration Certificate and the Restoration Industry Association. You can always, of course, call us at the Department of Public Health at our Environmental Health Division if you want to get more information. And let me give the phone number here. You can also find it on our website. That's 888-700-9995. That's 888-700-9995. Or you can email us at ehmail@ph.lacounty.gov. And you can speak to someone or hear back from someone from our Environmental Health Division to help you with your further questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Our next question is for Public Works or Regional Planning. Has Building and Safety devised a plan for expediting the on-site building inspection process?
Hello, this is Ray Castellanos from Building and Safety. We are dedicated to not only expedite plan review, but also the inspection request. And we'll do our best to get out there as soon as we can. Hopefully next day. We have hired more inspectors and we're on standby. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next question is for the Army Corps. How many lots in Altadena specifically have been cleared to date? I know you spoke to this a little bit during your remarks, but if you could remind us. And when is the anticipated completion date, if any, available for Altadena's phase 2?
Yeah, so again, in terms of final sign-offs, and that's when we return the right of entry back to the county, we're at 885 final sign-offs complete. In terms of just removal of the fire ash debris, so that means that we still have to take care of hazardous trees, fencing around pools, hydromulch on those properties. Again, but the fire ash debris being removed, we're at about 1,900 properties that have hit that stage. In terms of timeline for completion, our commitment for fully complete, that means all the properties, January 2026. However, the great majority of the properties will be complete late summer, early fall. That's what our projections show right now. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next question is for the assessor's office or the treasurer or tax collector's office. It reads, we had understood that anyone expanding property size will pay a mixture of market rate and old rate to keep the rate the same, even if the rebuild is not the same as the original house size. Is it possible for our property taxes to be grandfathered to reflect the additional square footage added to our previous size as we rebuild?
This is Scott Thornberry, Assistant Assessor. So I'll answer the question two different ways. The first thing is dealing with tax rates. The actual tax rate does not change regardless of whether it's the original tax base value or it's a reassessed value. So that is not an issue. But I think the question is more geared towards how we will reassess the property if it's built beyond what was originally there. And the way that works is there's no reassessment on the if you rebuild to what the original size is, there is no reassessment. It goes back to what you had before. But if you go beyond that in terms of your build, we do assess that at market value, whatever the market value is as of that date. So your original reassessment is based upon the market value at the time you acquired the property or the market value in 1975, whichever is later. Any additional reassessment, if you add additional square footage, will be at the current market rate, whatever that is. Thank you.
Thank you. And this question is for our representatives from the fire agencies. While rebuilding, will an internal fire suppression / sprinkler system be a requirement, or can I install an external fire suppression sprinkler system instead?
That's an interesting question. I've never had that posed to me. So did they say external while rebuilding or internal while rebuilding?
No, they said external once rebuilt.
Oh, once rebuild. No, the a rebuild today in California, all rebuilds of residential and commercial properties require a interior fire sprinkler system. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Our next question is for Rob with the California Department of Insurance. It reads, I hired a certified industrial hygienist to conduct full environment assessments, and they reported the presence of multiple toxic substances, including some listed under California's Prop 65. Two-part question. The first is, are insurance companies in California required to remediate properties contaminated with these chemicals, especially in the context of a wildfire event? And if so, who is the authority that oversees or enforces proper remediation?
So, thank you for the question. So as far as that first part goes, so it's a little complex. So as far as those substances listed under Prop 65, I don't believe it is a requirement for homeowners policies to cover that cleanup. Now, depending on your home insurance policy, there may be some language in there that covers it. Again, it really kind of depends on your policy. I know for commercial properties, especially with businesses dealing with those types of toxic substances, they are required to have coverage and insurance for that, but I don't believe it is a mandatory requirement for homeowners.
Thank you. And a quick follow-up to that. What resources do I have if my insurer is ignoring scientifically supported evidence of toxic contamination in my home?
No, sure. So again, in that case, we definitely recommend calling us at the Department of Insurance at a 1-800-927-4357, sorry. So that we can take a look at this, because we have advised all insurance companies to properly and thoroughly investigate all, toxic contamination, habitability concerns, smoke damage. And, if you need us to look into it further with your insurance company, again, the number is 1-800-927-4357.
Thank you, Rob. Our next question is either for regional planning or public works. Are there any reductions for planning and building fees for the Eaton fire survivors that are planning to rebuild?
Hi, everyone. It's Amy Bodak from Regional Planning. To date, there are no refunds or waivers being suggested. We are still looking for alternative funding from other sources. And if that occurs, anybody who has paid their fees would get their fees reimbursed. But right now, there are no alternative sources to be able to waive those fees.
Thank you. And the next question is for Public Works. Are there any rebates or grants available for solar panels for fire rebuilds?
Hello, Ray Castellanos, Building Safety. As you know, the Energy Code of California does require solar panels, but unless the state provides those rebates, we do not have that at the county level, that kind of funding or that kind of program. Thank you.
Thank you. This question is also for Public Works. How can we know if the power capacity at our site will be sufficient to rebuild an all-electric home?
Currently, the code requirements are that the new panel for a new home has to have at least a 200 amp capacity with a 225 amp bus bar. So based on that minimum capacity, assuming a standard home, it should be enough to allow for future solar and all of the circuits that are required for future electric ready requirements.
Thank you. And the next question is for Public Works or the Army Corps. There are many dead and several damaged trees that line the parkways that seem to belong to the county. What plan has been devised to remove these trees in a timely manner?
Thank you for the question. So Public Works' tree crews, who are certified arborists, completed their initial survey of trees in the road right-of-way, and all emergency removals were completed. And this means that if the trees were found to be dead or had no ability to recover, they were removed. Public Works has also trimmed the remaining trees to ensure they're in safe condition. There are about 3,100 remaining trees in the Eaton burn area, and in an effort to keep as many of the remaining trees as possible, Public Works will be reassessing them throughout the spring and summer months to determine if removal is necessary based on their state of recovery. And if residents have any questions about these parkway trees, they can contact Public Works at 818-249-0248. Thank you.
Thank you. And this next question is for Public Works. Once phase 2 debris removal is complete, and if fire insurance includes debris removal coverage, what specific actions are homeowners permitted to take to finalize the cleanup before any payment is made to the county?
Thank you. So with regards to insurance, the county will only collect the actual costs of debris removal from any insurance fund that are still available after all debris removal claims have been paid or rebuilding is complete. And this really depends on the type of insurance coverage. And to restate, the county will only seek reimbursement after you have settled your claims with your insurance company. And just so you're aware, funds collected from insurance will be used to reimburse FEMA. And
So Amico, before you all take the funds, will you reach out to the homeowner to let them know in case they've got outstanding work that's still to be done? Can we do that?
Not necessarily, Supervisor, reaching out to each owner, but it would be good for residents to understand that the county will only collect funds after they've done their rebuild. So if they want to remove things like patios or driveways or other things that are not covered under debris removal, then they can certainly feel free to do that using their insurance funds, and we will then come in only after everything is done to collect anything if remaining. If there's nothing remaining, we won't be collecting anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And as a reminder, Zoom participants can also submit questions in real time using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We are going to put up the QR code now for those who are on YouTube and interested in asking a question. Our next question is for the Department of Insurance. Since our insurance is not likely to cover 100% of our rebuilding costs, is it possible for my insurance company to release funds from general liability or personal property without having to line item everything?
Excellent. Thank you for the question. So in this respect, I don't believe that the insurance company is required to provide your liability coverage to contribute towards your rebuild. Now, you know, after a state of emergency, declared state of emergency, you may have like additional structures coverage in your policy for things like ADUs, detached garage and stuff that you can combine with your main structure coverage to help towards the rebuild. But in a scenario like that, I mean, I don't believe that the insurance company is required to do so. Certainly can ask and see if they'll make concessions for that. They've provided concessions for many other types of scenarios, so it doesn't hurt to at least ask. As far as the contents coverage goes, yeah, I mean, they are required to provide that minimum 30% for the contents coverage without an itemized list. And we at the Department of Insurance, we did get a list of a lot of the insurance carriers who are paying 75% or more of contents coverage without that itemized list. I encourage you to check our website to see that list of insurance carriers. Hopefully your insurance carrier is on that list. But if not, unfortunately, they only are required to provide that a minimum 30% of contents coverage. And, you know, that's, you know, for those who may not have enough in their insurance for the rebuild or anything like that. That's why we're hoping you'd sign up for any additional resources through FEMA, SBA, and take advantage of some of those programs out there.
Thank you very much. Our next question is for the assessor. What are the property tax or possible increase implications that fire victims whose homes were completely destroyed in the Eaton fire after they rebuild?
Thank you for your question. Sure. So once you, if your property has been completely destroyed, we will recognize that in a reassessment, giving you property tax relief. Those reassessments we will are actually going to go out beginning this week, and will continue likely through June. Once you rebuild, as long as you build to the substantial equivalence of what you had before, you will be reassessed, or you won't be reassessed. You will get back the assessed value you had prior to the rebuild, plus 2% per year is kind of how that works under Prop 13. So you'll get back your Prop 13 protected base year value once you rebuild, as long as you rebuild to the substantial equivalence. Anything beyond the rebuild up to the substantial equivalence, you will be reassessed at whatever the market value of that reassessment, that additional square footage is, on top of your Prop 13 protected value. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now transitioning to some of the questions on our live Q&A forum. As a reminder to those who are on YouTube, you may join us via Zoom and submit questions using the Q&A function. Our first question from the Q&A function: before rebuilding starts and inspections become bogged down, has Building and Safety considered using the video/photograph inspection verification method used during COVID?
Hello, this is Building and Safety, Ray Castellanos. We will be providing some level of virtual inspections. Usually they're simpler projects where we can just verify the required compliance requirements. And sometimes, like for the final framing, that's going to have to be in person. But we are providing the methodology, and we use cameras and pictures to inspect, to make it easier. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is for Rob with the Department of Insurance. Can someone from the Insurance Commissioner's office speak to whether their office is leaning towards approving State Farm's requested 22% rate increase? If yes, can it come with a condition that State Farm increase their percentage payout of personal property for total loss claims without itemizing up to 75%?
Oh yeah, so this is a great question. We've been getting a lot of questions about State Farm lately, especially with the upcoming hearing. And yeah, as I'd mentioned earlier, we had requested all insurance carriers to pay above that 30% without an itemized list. The commissioner has, talked about providing more benefit towards consumers before approving that rate increase. But as far as like what decision he's leaning on, I would say make sure to attend the hearing tomorrow. I think it's over the next 3 days, actually. It's going to be streamed on our YouTube page. And all those questions about contents coverage, benefits to consumers, the 22% increase and so forth should be answered and examined in that hearing, as State Farm is asked to kind of open up their books, open up transparency in the process. I'll send a link to, I don't know what's the best way to send this link, but I'll send a link to Supervisor Barger's team, and hopefully they can put that out so that you guys can take a look at that hearing that's occurring over the next 3 days with State Farm and the Department of Insurance.
Thank you. Our next question is for the Army Corps. Will the Army Corps consider covering the concrete crushing machinery and place noise reduction baffles to further absorb sound to reduce ambient noise for residents around the golf course area?
So right now, we have active kind of noise monitoring equipment around the site to make sure that we are keeping it at a reduced volume. If we realize that our operations are too loud for the neighboring community, that's something that we can look into. But right now, it seems that we have enough buffer to where it's not too loud for the neighboring community. So again, that is something that we can do eventually if it gets to be too loud. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next question is for regional planning. In West Altadena, many of us have very small and narrow lots. If we build like for like, our houses will continue being too close to one another. We want to comply with adding the extra space between us, but that will force us to build two-story houses that will necessarily need extra square footage for staircases, bathroom clearances, etc. We feel like we are being punished for trying to be fire resilient and separating our homes away from one another like it is advised to by the county. I don't want to rebuild a home that is so close to my neighbors again and then be caught up in a fire like this.
I think some of this is really best addressed, if I may, by the fire department, but there is no restriction on being too close to each other. We do encourage defensible space around each house, but there is nothing wrong with the way that the houses are laid out currently in West Altadena. So if you are interested in continuing to do a like-for-like rebuild and you have small setbacks from your side yard or from your neighbor, that is still acceptable.
Thank you. And was there anything to add to that from the fire department? Okay, moving on to our next question. And this question is for Public Works. When will LA County resume street cleaning services?
Thank
Specifically
you.
on Woodbury Road.
We will be sure to look into that, and I will put my email information in the chat where the question was asked, so the resident can, so I can provide the answer to the resident directly. Thank you.
Thank you. And this question is for Public Works or Regional Planning. I just want to clarify that are we required to have solar panels on our rebuilds, and can we have natural gas appliances?
Hello, this is Ray Castellanos from Building and Safety, Public Works. The current California Energy Commission requirements that are codified in the 2022 Energy Efficiency Standards require solar for new buildings, and they do not limit the use of gas. That's a provision that's in different jurisdictions. But I understand that it's possible that in the next version in 2025, that restriction might come in. But that's at the state level for the future code. Today, this year, if you make an application, you will be allowed to use gas appliances.
Thank you. And our next question. Excuse me while I scroll through to the top of our Q&A. Is for the assessor's office. Property reassessed at fair market value. It seems that the assessor's office has answered that question in the chat. Thank you. Our next question is for Dave Ford with SoCal Edison. Will SoCal Edison provide financial relief for those of us who will require electrical poles during rebuilds?
If there was my name's Dave Ford, I'm with Southern California Edison, and if there was a pole that was existing, that was this existing installation was there prior to the fire, SCE will provide installation resources. If the pole was not located there prior to the fire, then the residential customer will need to work with our planning department on, or their electrician to arrange installation.
Thank you. Our next question, when will we be receiving the final certificate to start our rebuild if our property has been cleared?
I can start on this, and then hopefully Public Works can help me out as well. So we return after a property's been cleared, hydromulched, and the trees have been removed, we return that right of entry back to the county. And then from there, I believe it is within a couple weeks that they should receive an email, but I'll defer to Public Works or to the county on exactly how long that process takes.
And to add to what the Colonel just explained, what we do is after the Army Corps sends it back to Public Works, we do a QA/QC to make sure that everything's in order and the final clearance is complete with photos and everything else to make sure that the property is ready to go. Depending on the complexities, any complexities associated with the property, at that point it can take us anywhere between 2 days to 2 weeks to either immediately provide the final property clearance or to ask for additional information. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question is for representatives from FEMA who are on the meeting. What if the house was totally destroyed? I did not qualify for FEMA assistance because the house was a rental. However, I am the homeowner.
Well, that question is more probably for SBA. It says they're a landlord, right?
Correct. The home was destroyed. The property was a rental.
Well, I'll go and defer to Mike first, but I'll answer.
Thanks, Corey. So if I'm understanding this correctly, and they did say later that they owned the home, but it was a rental. So were they renting out the property? They owned it, but they were renting the property out. If that is the case, then they were the landlord. And if they were the landlord, then that would fall under SBA as a rental property.
And just to back that up, for that being a rental property, they have to have that income reported on their taxes. So if they are using it as a rental property, they have to make sure that that income is being reported. But they're eligible for up to $2 million for repair replacement of disaster damage real estate, machinery, inventory, equipment, and they can also apply for economic injury disaster loans for their lost rents while the property is being rebuilt. Interest rates are as low as 4%. And again, there's no payment for the first 12 months, and there's no interest accrual for the first 12 months as well. I hope this helps.
Thank you both. Our next question reads, I previously had an easement on my property for power lines, which have since been removed. Can I start my rebuild if those power lines have not yet been replaced? How can I find out if they will be replaced or buried?
I assume that question is for either building and safety or from myself. Is that correct?
Correct.
I want to defer that question to our planning department, who I don't believe anyone is on the call from our planning department. Can I provide a response back to you in chat that you could pass on to the that question to the audience?
Yes, and the question is also in our Q&A function, Dave. So if you would like to respond directly
Okay.
to the Q&A function, you can also do that.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you. Our next question is for Army Corps. On Hill Avenue near Boston and Calaveras Streets, the concrete machines produce noise at about 10 to 15 decibels above ambient noise. What can Army Corps do to address this?
Sorry. We'll look into that. I will. Thanks for letting us know, and then we'll look into ways in which we can address those sounds. So, thanks.
Thank you. Our next question. Are we required to have permeable driveways in rebuilds?
This is building and safety. Driveways in themselves are not regulated by the building code, but when you do have a new project on an empty lot, you would have to comply with the LAD requirements for low impact development. And I believe that is an option if they want to use driveways that are impermeable.
Thank you, Ray. Our next question is for SBA. What are you doing about expediting escalations when there has been fraud associated with our applications? I have been getting the runaround for a few weeks. I have loan documents to sign, but my husband can't because there was fraud with his account.
That's a great question. So what I would strongly encourage you to do is visit the Disaster Recovery Center on 540 West Woodbury. The team lead there is Teresa Sones. You can personally let Teresa know that Corey Williams, the PIO, recommended that the person visit the center, and that she, as the team lead, will work with that applicant personally to make sure everything's squared away.
Thank you. Moving on to our next question. I received first for Dave with SoCal Edison. I received a notice of action from SCE stating that I had asked for my service to be discontinued effective a certain date, but this is incorrect. Several neighbors are also reporting receiving the same letter. Can you explain what this is?
I'd have to see the letter before I could respond. Is there any way that letter could be sent to me? I can put my email address in the chat and then have our customer service division provide a response back to the customer. I have not, it would help me if I was able to see the letter, but at this time I can't really respond unless I have access to it.
Okay, that question is in our Q&A. You can respond to it
Okay.
Privately and provide your contact information to the constituent asking the question.
Okay.
Our next question reads, my insurance denied the coverage for my standalone studio, a converted garage, and I submitted the denial letter to FEMA at the end of January and still have not heard back. I was initially declined assistance. I also never received the $770 payment. I've called multiple times about the denial and the one-time payment, but no one has information for me. Can you please advise?
Hi, this is Mike Peacock again, and my advice would be to either stop by one of the disaster recovery centers and meet with one of our customer service representatives and have them look up your individual case, because that decision is going to be based on your individual circumstances.
Thank you. Go ahead.
One more thing. If you would like for me to follow up on it, if you can send your contact information to the supervisor's office, and then they can forward that information to me.
Thank you. And you can also respond to this question privately using the Q&A function to provide contact information to engage with the constituent directly. Our next question is for Corey with SBA. Is it true that SBA will only disperse contents loan money after the borrower proves they have already spent all their insurance money on contents replacement?
That's a great question. That's actually not true. So the first $50,000, which is the undispersed part of the loan, is is the first disbursement. That starts your disbursement clock for the 12 months. The homeowner has the kind of the discretion of how they want to spend that first 50,000, as long as they have real estate funds as well, real estate repair as well as personal property funds. We're not telling them on that first 50,000 that they have to use it for real estate and or personal property. So that's kind of the situation that happens. Now, once they get beyond the 50,000, there's a certain other requirements that are needed, such as recording the mortgage, adding SBA to their insurance policies, and then depending on what that next disbursement is, that may be a requirement to use that for real estate repair. But they can get the first 50,000. But here's one thing I will tell you. If you can hold off on your disbursement, keep in mind that as soon as the first disbursement is made, your disbursement of the 1-year clock starts. So for those that and then people have come to me a number of times and said, well, Corey, I kind of wish I would have waited to get that first disbursement. So if you are in a position where you can hold off on receiving that first disbursement, I would strongly recommend that, so that way you can preserve your 1-year clock.
Thank you, Corey. And we have another question for you. SBA initially denied my application because they couldn't prove there was a structure on the AIN/address I provided, despite providing them with extensive documentation. They required me to file a homestead declaration, which I have done. What is the timeline for addressing appeals?
That's a great question. So appeals or reconsideration is up to 6 months. They have to apply for reconsideration. Just like Michael said, the disaster recovery centers are a strong resource, and I would strongly recommend to go ahead and visit that disaster recovery center, speak with the team lead, Teresa Soames, let her know personally that Corey Williams, the PIO, sent you from Supervisor Barger's meeting, and that you would like that one-on-one assistance with Teresa personally, and she can make sure to work on that reconsideration.
Thank you. Our next question, if my property has been cleared and no trees have been removed or marked for removal, and I have not received my final certificate to rebuild, then is it possible that trees on my property could still be marked for removal?
I'll take that question. So typically, you know, when we go through the first time, and we and there are no hazardous trees identified, then we will not come back and try and remark trees at a later time. Again, if you have a specific question about your property, I suggest you call our helpline, and maybe they will be able to answer exactly what it is that you're asking on this. But again, once we've done the debris removal and we've assessed that there are no hazardous trees, we don't typically come back and reassess. Thanks.
Thank you. And that concludes all the time we have today for questions. For more information, please visit your local disaster recovery center or find us online at recovery.lacounty.gov /Altadena. Thank you for joining us.